Brilliance Audio.
You or Someone Like You by Renshaw. Performed by Stella Bloom and Tristan James. You survived, I say when I find Margot camped out in her bed right where I left her. She pauses her TV show, adjusts her blankets, and gifts me her full attention. A plate of half-eaten saltines rests on her nightstand alongside a mostly empty glass of ginger ale. I should say the same about you. How was it? Please tell me you bored him to tears. She checks the time on her phone before tossing it on the bed beside her. I'm going to assume yes because you're home way earlier than I expected. I don't know if boring is the right word to describe tonight, I say. Margot frowns. But I think it's safe to say he won't be asking for a second date. I chuckle, rolling my eyes. Why are you laughing? She asks, one brow lifted higher than the other. Because he's weird, I say. The whole thing was a shit show. He's still very much in love with his wife, who died years ago, by the way. He's still in mourning. The poor thing had no desire to be out on a date. He was just trying to make his aunt happy. So you guys have that in common, I guess. But it was just... I struggled to find the right words to convey the incongruity of the evening. From the moment I sat down, to the clunky conversation, to the inadvertent walk home, to the bizarre exchange we shared outside my front steps. Do you remember when I worked at Brick House Gallery a few years back and some jerk had me fired? I ask. Margot scrunches her brows. Yeah, it was a whole ordeal. You came home in tears that day and called out sick the next morning, which you never do. It was traumatic. I lift a hand. Okay, you're making me sound dramatic, which I'm not, but it was a horrible situation that I have no desire to relive in any way, shape, or form, but anyway, Roman Bellisario was the jerk who had me fired. Margot's jaw falls loose. No way. Way. I cross my arms, leaning against her doorframe. I'm so sorry. Why didn't you say something when I told you his name earlier? What would it have mattered? You needed me to go on this date so you can get that promotion. I wasn't going to screw you over last minute. Margot exhales, her head tilting. I owe you big. Yes, I say. Yes, you do. Still waiting on that firstborn child you promised me back in college. Gifting her a wink, I yawn. I'm going to bed. The sooner this night is over with, the better. It's barely 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock to me is the equivalent of 1 a.m. to my sister. I can't remember the last time Margot was home on a Friday night. For someone who knows everything about me, who shared a womb with me for 9 months and a bedroom with me for 18 years, she seems to have forgotten that I live for my quiet Friday nights. It's how I unwind after a whirlwind week in a fast-paced city working alongside art hustlers who never sleep. I'm all about balance, and that requires making time to be alone with myself. My biggest fear is burning out doing something I love. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have my love of art keeping my soul ablaze. Well aware, I say, it's what us boring people do on the weekends. With that, I make my way to the hall bath, strip out of Margot's frilly fashion, and wash up for bed. It's only when I'm lying wide awake a half hour later, replaying the strangeness that was my evening, that I decide to search up Roman's late wife online. After a fruitless 20 minutes on Google, I run through my contacts and shoot out a dozen text messages to my art world friends, asking if they know anything about the infamous Roman Bellisario's late wife. Almost all the responses I receive are to the tune of, I had no idea that guy was ever married. Except for one. Her name was Emma, my friend Karina writes. Emma Whitfield. I don't believe she ever took his last name. She was cousins with my college roommate, believe it or not. I met her a couple of times. So sad about her passing. She was super sweet. Gave me her shoes once when we all went out for New Year's Eve one year. Mine were giving me blisters, so she traded with me.